Your Sky episode 8 probably had one incredible scene that I cannot wait to talk about because of how extremely well done. It just had all the emotion and intensity that I could ever look for in a love story. And I just have to rant about it, especially in hindsight of me watching another BL around characters around the same age group, Fourever You, and a particular couple that has been grinding my gears. And I just have to do a little compare and contrast and just how well Your Sky is. And that was a mouthful. Let's go. Hi, I'm Monique. I am the host of Off by Purple Art podcast, where I talk to you about K-dramas, C-dramas, BTS, and so much more. The so much more includes BLs. I was watching a lot of BLs last year, 2024. I even did like a year roundup, and going into 2025, there's still some BLs that are just finishing up that I really liked and adored. Your Sky was one of them. Episode 8 just passed, and I think it had probably one of the most well done and tasteful NC scenes that I have seen in a long time, mainly because it wasn't focused on being provocative. It was focused on the emotional intensity of the characters, and it completely made sense for not only the ages of the characters and it being age appropriate, but it also was just filmed in such a gorgeous, beautiful, haunting way. And I was really surprised by how much I was taken in by it. This is going to be going into spoilers, obviously, if you have not watched Your Sky, but man, you need to watch this show. It's cute, it's sweet, it's got amazing fake dating trope and exactly how you want a fake dating trope to come together, where the two characters realize that they really genuinely like each other. They gel on every metric you can think of, but because of insecurity, they just don't really think the other sees the other that way. In episode 8 in particular, we have Saggy Cheeks or Tarak, and we have Fa as well. And Fa was taken out of the previous episode to deal with like a family emergency from his dad. And I think he had to do like an emergency flight to Hong Kong with his brother because, they kind of run and help run their father's business. And because he had this little medical emergency, they had to take care of that. And we were kind of left on this cliffhanger, and Rak was kind of left with his feelings, realizing that in this total fake dating scenario, he really developed feelings, and he's afraid that Fa will not return them. Let me tell you, when he returned, Fa, I really enjoyed how they portrayed just how nervous Tarak was, and how he kind of just blurted everything out to him in the airport. And we had such amazing character growth with this character because he was someone that was the ultimate people pleaser, to the point where some senior in the school was harassing him consistently. Like, Tarak was just incapable of saying no and ending up in situations that were highly undesirable. And for him to finally come to a point where he can fully articulate how he's feeling, even if it scares him, great character growth in this really sweet show. But once he admits his feelings and confesses, he runs away, and then we get into this next sequence, which I think was so gorgeous. So he runs away, Fa ends up finding him, they have this amazing confrontation, and Fa comes right up to him, sees that Tarak is crying, and he's like, "Sweetheart," which already was tugging at my heartstrings. Like, I can't deal with it. He called him sweetheart. Oh, he called him sweetheart. And he wiped his tears from his cheeks. And he's like, "You don't have to cry anymore." And then he confessed his feelings. And then Tarak was even crying even more. And then the two of them together, they just come together, and it's just so beautifully done. And then we get into that scene in episode 8, and I guess they had what you'd call an NC scene. They became intimate, and it started getting, really heavy. And the music choices, the way that the whole scene was framed, like you could see Fa kind of slowly come into Tarak's personal space and bubble, and he's like enhancing the entire scene with like smelling him, and he just kind of gently grazing along his shoulder, and then he's like softly kissing his neck. And then the scene kind of progresses, the music swells, and you can just see literally every emotion reflected in their faces. And then it gets to the point where it's almost too intense, and Tarak had to pull away because he was getting too overwhelmed with everything. And then the healthiest dynamic happens because Fa says, it's okay. You're not ready. We can take it down a notch. We can just like cuddle. And I thought that was just so wonderful to see. You have two characters that are college age, really young. They're being acted and performed by these two young actors. Sidebar, I forgot to add this in the initial filming for this podcast, but I was comparing essentially how Tarak and Fa are in Your Sky versus Tur and Hill in Fourever You. My problem with those characters is I'm aware that the actors might be a little bit older, but they're still playing college age kids, and they have a very similar dynamic where one partner is a little bit more extroverted and has a little bit more experience, and the other partner is very shy and very timid and is very inexperienced, and they're kind of broaching into first time territory. And I feel like there's so many similarities between Tur and Tarak, even down to like almost the childlike way that they kind of move through life. But I still see Tarak's saggy cheeks as essentially a college kid, one that is sheltered and not very experienced. Yet everything about his attraction for Fa and the entire coming together of that relationship rings true to me, versus how weird the dynamic is of Tur and Hill, where I just don't buy into why Tur is behaving the way he is. It's almost beyond juvenile to the point where it comes off really weird, like they're infantilizing him. I can't fully articulate and explain it, but if you watched both shows and you compare them, you'll probably come away with the same conclusions as me. At least I think so, because of just how off-putting that couple is. Like, there's something about the Tur-Hill dynamic that does not work, even though I realize these are young college kid characters. And I think almost unfairly too, subconsciously, is because I'm aware that Tur is being played by Earth, who I love, who is a great actor, has been in the BL industry for a bit, but I'm aware that he is in his late 20s portraying this character, and the character comes off like 12. Versus Tarak in Your Sky, I know that the actor portraying him is young, and I would assume maybe around 18 to 20. But yet something in that portrayal seems to gel and click, and it's authentic, and it just makes sense in the moment of watching. This is a very long disclaimer, but I had to include that because I forgot to mention that during the initial filming. This show is just really, really great. But just having two characters that are young, that are encroaching on their first time together, and then one partner is just too overwhelmed and it's too much because they're not ready, because they're not experienced. And for the other partner to say, hey, it's totally okay. I'm totally willing to wait for you. Let's just chill and hang out and just be together. And then to see Tarak just kind of lie in his lap, it's just so incredibly well done and just so cute. And I was just cheesing, like, you know, my smile was super wide, and I was just so impressed by how these young actors handled that scene. And I think it was really, really well done. And the amount of emotional intensity and just how real their emotions come across. I'm telling you, there's actors out there that are like twice their age that have been in BLs and can't get to that level of authenticity in their scenes. And it's so easy to tell with actors when they're not comfortable with the kind of intimacy scenes that are sometimes required in these romances. And I'm not saying that, you know, it's required or necessary for things to be super hot and heavy. It's not always called for. For this show, I'm glad it was age appropriate. But these two young actors did so much. They packed so much punch and made me as a viewer buy into it so much. And it just makes me shake my head. So like, I really have literal zero tolerance for actors who can't just show up and do the damn thing because of the stigma. I just can't. These guys, they're so incredibly talented. The show has its little awkwardness here and there. It gets cheesy in spots, but I swear, after the first couple of episodes, they really found the swing of things, and it just turned into such a beautiful story. Now, mind you, we're episode 8 now, and I believe there's 4 more episodes left for Your Sky. I'm really hoping they stick the landing, because there's been a few shows as of late that have been incredible viewing experiences, and then the last episode or 2, everything kind of just falls spectacularly apart. I hope that's not the case for this show, but I genuinely think it's worth checking out just to get to episode 8, because you're going to be so impressed. The music, the cinematography, the acting, the authenticity. Like, I was holding my breath, and I was like, these guys are incredible. And I really bought into the love story, and it's like, this is like the perfect way to unveil a fake dating scenario into falling truly in love. This is why I love the romance genre so much. When it's done right, it's just an incredible thing to see. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Let me know if you're watching the video format of this podcast via YouTube. Let me know in the comment section. Are you watching Your Sky? What do you think of episode 8? Were you just taken aback as I was? Did you like short circuit? Ascend to another galaxy? Let me know. I'm really, really curious, because I think the show is great. I think it's like the hidden gem. It's so good. Like, you just got to get past the awkwardness of the first couple episodes. It is really good. Let me know as well, like, if you're listening via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, let me know on those platforms as well. What do you think about this show? Please interact. Even with the other couples in the show, like, there's other few ships that are bubbling up, and they also are doing really well. This show is just full of surprises to me. It really is.